back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of, it's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify when you and God in time are best aligned.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They could be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folks try to ignore us. So we at the ballot boxes to vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia, who galvanize so that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the presence of mind. Everything's more beautiful in time.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. Not at the White House today, instead right here in LA with each and every one of you in afternoon drive time. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms. At Dr. Nii-Quartelai, just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ. And there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure, if you haven't already, to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast, because when you subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast, you get some of the best content that we have to offer, some of the most memorable moments that we've had on air, some of the most memorable conversations that we've had. And so especially as we're heading into the end of the year and we may have a little extra time while we're standing in line at things, go ahead and download that KBLA app and subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. Now, happy December 2nd, everyone. I can't believe it's December already. Although it feels like we're sprinting between now and the end of the year. We have a great show in store for you today. In a little bit, we'll be joined with Dr. Ian Smith. Dr. Ian Smith, one of my favorite physicians to be in conversation with. We're going to be talking about the post-Thanksgiving diet and all-around holiday eating. That'll be fun. Plus, we'll be talking about one of his latest books, which might be a really great stocking stuffer if you're looking for one. And then in our second hour, you'll hear from human rights experts Yannick Gill. He'll be joining us along with our international affairs contributor Desiree Cormier-Smith. There's a lot happening on the international front that we should know about, including impacts to our Somali friends and family and neighbors. And so we got you covered in both hours. But first things first, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off, a lot of folks are buzzing about these so-called Trump accounts for kids. They just got a $6 billion boost. How can you claim one? You might be wondering. Well, all children born between 2025 and 2028 will reap a baby shower gift from Congress and President Trump, a $1,000 deposit into a Trump account. Think of a Trump account as seed money to encourage children and families to save and build wealth for many expenses of adulthood. At least that's what they're saying. Trump accounts are a part of the tax and spending package that was signed into law this summer by President Trump. They join a crowded field of tax-advantaged savings plans that help Americans navigate the cost of education, healthcare, and retirement, among other things. Now, some of us think, well, maybe if you just lower the cost of healthcare, maybe let's start with those ACA subsidies, right? Maybe we didn't cut $900 billion out of Medicaid. You know, maybe folks wouldn't have to be so excited about these $1,000 Trump account checks. What's unusual in this case is that the account started at birth and with a $1,000 balance. The balance is also about to get bigger because guess what? Michael Dell, the CEO of Dell Technologies, you know, think Dell Computers, that Michael Dell, he's contributing more than $6 billion to the program that should boost the value of about 25 million accounts by $250. The president wants others in the business world to also follow the company's lead. And so today it's $1,000. Who knows? I mean, you know, it's a $300 million ballroom that's being built on the east wing of the White House. Brought to you by a number of our friends and so-called friends in corporate America. But in other news, you might be wondering why Democrats and Republicans are watching Tennessee's special election for Congress. All eyes are on Tennessee today as a congressional special election in Tennessee has become the latest battleground for Democrats and Republicans seeking to craft a winning message ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Now, historically, Tennessee's 7th congressional district is a fairly conservative district. In fact, they gave President Trump roughly 60% of the vote last November. According to NPR, former Representative Mark Green, who resigned in July, he won by a similar margin. But in more recent history, Democrats have overperformed their 2024 margins in special elections this year by an average of 13% and are coming off of a string of high-profile victories in races and down-ballot races just last month. This dynamic, what does it mean? Well, it means the race between Republican former State Department of General Services Commissioner Matt Van Epps and Democratic State Representative Afton Bean has captured national attention. So we're all going to be watching to see what happens in Tennessee. If you are listening to us in Tennessee and you haven't gone to the polls yet, make your voice heard. Make your voice heard. There's been a lot happening across the country and in Tennessee. Make your voice heard. You can go to iwillvote.com to get all the information you need to know exactly where to cast your ballot and all the rules when it comes to voting in Tennessee, but by all means vote. All right. In other Trump news, Trump is, he says it's not going to be me. USA Today is reporting that Trump is looking ahead to 2028's GOP nominee. And the president said in his clearest terms yet that he won't be the 2028 Republican presidential nominee, predicting that his GOP successor will be someone else in his administration. Trump remarked on the next presidential race during a marathon cabinet meeting as he argued that Republicans will be in a better position than Democrats in 2028 because of the latter's really bad policies. And so we're going to see about that. Depends on what people do as they show up at the polls. Every election counts, not just in 2028, just saying. When we come forward, we're going to switch gears. And I'm always excited to talk to this brother. He is my friend. He is no stranger to us here on this show. Dr. Ian Smith is going to be joining us to talk about our post-Thanksgiving diet and all-around holiday eating. I'll also be sure to talk a little bit about his book, his latest book, Beyond Midnight, that everybody's buzzing about. The streets are buzzing about Beyond Midnight. And those sales are racking up. Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, wherever books are sold. If you're looking for a good holiday gift that is going to be a departure from all this political talk, but is still relevant to the times we're living in, this is a really fascinating story that only Dr. Ian could tell. We're going to talk about that and more when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends, near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs, with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 remembers Robin Ayers on the 1-year anniversary of her passing. 1 year ago this week, we lost a remarkable and vibrant voice. Robin Ayers touched countless lives through her passion, her love, her service, and her smile, which you could see through the radio. KBLA Talk 1580 honors her memory and celebrates the legacy she left behind. Robin, your spirit lives on in every conversation, in every connection, and in every one of us, inspired by your voice. Gone, but never forgotten. KBLA Talk 1580, where voices matter.
I'm missing you. Tell me why
There's no news, the consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to welcome back to the show Dr. Ian K. Smith. He's a physician, an author, a television host, best known for hosting The Doctors. You might remember way back when he launched the 50 million pound challenge, a national weight loss initiative. This guy's busy. He is super busy. I don't know how he makes the time to write as many best-selling books, but somebody called the Guinness Book. Somehow he makes the time to do it. And he's here to talk about his book. But before we get to that, he's here to talk to us about our health. Please welcome Dr. Ian Smith. Welcome.
Hey, man. Good to see you. Happy post-Thanksgiving.
Happy post-Thanksgiving. Now, this is the thing. For anybody who has met Dr. Ian Smith in person, and if you have a chance to meet him at a book signing or on tour doing whatever it is he's doing, go. He doesn't disappoint. And Dr. Ian Smith is in superb shape. He's in really good shape. But he's not one of those people that's in good shape that, doesn't eat the cookie, right? We've actually been to dinner and you're like, don't deny yourself the cookie, eat the cookie, right? But talk to us about just what your rule of thumb is for us this holiday season, so we too can indulge, right, but not overdo it.
It's interesting. I did a segment for the Today Show the other week, and I was saying that the average person consumed on Thanksgiving Day between 3,000 and 4,500 calories. Okay. Woo. It's a lot of calories. Now, if you are only doing that one day and you return to normal eating the other days, that's actually not bad. You can make it through that. The problem is, and by the way, this is my favorite time of the year. I call it the holiday corner, starting with Halloween. But the problem with this time of the year is that people don't treat individual days as a holiday. They treat it as holidays. So they're eating like that for the next 3 or 4 days after Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's on a Thursday. They got all weekend to eat like that. And that's when it becomes problematic. And so my whole take is, my intention is not to take the joy out of food. It's not to take the joy out of celebration and people coming together. Not at all. In fact, that is very American and very wonderful that we do those things. However, what I'm trying to ask people is to figure out whether or not there's a compromise where you can continue to enjoy the foods that you like, whether they're healthy or not, but do it in a way that it doesn't become deleterious to what your goals are or to your overall health. And so what are some tactics? For example, look at some of the desserts, okay? I love sweet potato pie. I make sweet potato pie. It's on my Instagram. I do it every holiday. I think they're better than Miss Patty's pie. Don't tell her I said that. But I know I'm starting something, but she won't know. She's a good friend of mine. I love her. Listen, the idea is, for example, if you're having apple pie, have the apple pie without the a la mode. So skip the ice cream and only have the pie. Save yourself 200 calories. If you're choosing, other types of pies, instead of, pecan pie, which is very heavy in calories, believe it or not, sweet potato pie, and I'm going to say this out loud, pumpkin pie. I'm a sweet potato guy. That's a whole nother argument. But
really starting some stuff, Dr. Ian.
I know. I'm a sweet potato guy. But if you like pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie and pumpkin pie versus pecan pie can save you 100 to 150 calories. And so things like that. Every ladle of gravy and sauces, another 100 to 150 50 calories. So there are ways to enjoy the foods that you like, but do it in a way so that you can have a little of a lot rather than a lot of a very small amount of selection. So but the other thing I want to advise people during the holidays is, if you know you're going to a company lunch, a family dinner, whatever it is, and the food may not be the healthiest, maybe a lot of calories, no problem. Work your way up to it. So if this is happening on a Thursday night, then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, be completely clean. go hard in the gym, eat really well. And then when Thursday comes, you don't feel guilty and it's not going to hurt you because you've already built up a reserve to absorb that not so perfect day. And so I think people should employ different types of strategies like that through the holiday season so that they can still have fun, but not overindulge in calories.
I mean, what I really like about what you've laid out is you make it so practical. You make it practical for us. It's not hocus pocus. And you know, it's not anything that we haven't necessarily heard before, but just the way you frame it, you make us feel like we can do it. You know, basically eating as well as you can, as often as you can. I personally subscribe to the sampling approach, right? Where you have a little bit of a lot of things, right? And, you know, you have your plate, right? And after you've had your plate, like, you know, you just kind of, you know, you enjoy having had that plate, right? Don't eat in a rush to get to the second plate or the third plate. And then, you know, I also think calorie deficits, right? Can you dispel, you know, some of the falsehoods about calorie deficits? Because, you know, I think a lot of people feel like, okay, well, you're asking me to starve myself, and I don't want to do that. I don't like the way that makes me feel. And so if we're eating in a calorie deficit, we're doing it right, we're doing it in the healthy way, what does that look like?
So a calorie deficit basically means that the difference between the calories you're consuming versus the calories that you are burning out. And so you want the calories being consumed to be less than the calories you're burning out. That difference is your calorie deficit, okay? Now, you're still eating. You're not starving. By no means are we saying you're going to starve, but there are different ways to increase that deficit. One is to consume less calories and let everything else be equal, then you're going to have a deficit. Another way is to consume the same amount of calories, but increase your burn. So that's typically through exercise. That's going to create a calorie deficit. Then the ideal way is to do both, is to alter the amount, reduce the amount of calories you're consuming, and at the same time also increase the amount of calories you're burning through exercise typically. And that is going to give you your maximum calorie deficit, and that is going to lead to weight loss. The other thing I want to say is intermittent fasting is another good way to create a good calorie deficit for part of your day. And so I think that people should really think about how they can make these small adjustments on different sides of the equation to get the result that they want. The other thing I want to say is that I think that people have to understand the beauty and the importance of water, hydration. The vast majority of Americans are dehydrated and don't realize it. And the reason why they don't realize it is because people think that the only way to become dehydrated is to be in a gym and sweating profusely. People think if they're not sweating profusely, then they are not losing water. And that's not true. We're losing water all day, every day. We lose it through going to the bathroom. We lose it through sweating. We also lose it through breathing. So we're constantly losing water. And the body is 70% water. And so the purpose of drinking water is to replace the water loss that we're experiencing throughout the day. So a lot of people are dehydrated. So the next question, of course, is, well, how much water should I be drinking? Well, you can get water not just by drinking water. You can get water in fruits and vegetables. Cucumbers, for example, are 80% water. So I want to focus, however, on the liquid water that you're consuming as a beverage. Most people should be consuming anywhere between 6 and 10 cups of water per day. There is no universal number that applies to everyone because the amount of water you should be consuming is the amount of water that you're losing. You want to consume water to replace the water losses. If you're someone who's very active, you work out a lot, you're probably going to lose more water than someone who is pretty sedentary and not losing it through sweating. You're losing it through the other means, but not through sweating. And so I can't give you a solid number. We've always said 8. That's a decent guidepost, but really it's between 6 and 10 cups per day. And people should try. Here's a strategy, by the way. Try to drink 1 cup of water before you take your first bite of your meal, And then if you're having dessert, drink another cup of water before taking your first bite of your dessert.
Ooh, and what does that do?
Well, that will allow you to consume less calories because your stomach works on something called volume expansion. And so if this is your stomach, and as you eat and drink beverages, it expands. When it expands, inside of your lining of your stomach, which is represented by my finger that's moving, these are called stretch receptors. And so as your stomach expands, the stretch receptor gets activated and it sends a message to your brain and says, hey, I'm getting full. Don't eat much more. I'm getting full. So the idea is, how can we expand our stomach with the fewest amount of calories?
Ooh.
And so water will start the expansion and there are no calories in it. And so there's less room and less need for food, which contains the calories.
See, and this is what I'm talking about. Dr. Ian, he always has just these little adjustments that are really practical. Who knew that we lost water by breathing, by simply breathing? Maybe I need to return to sophomore year biology class, but when we come forward, enough with biology. We're going to talk about his latest book. It's called Beyond Midnight. It's a story that focuses on this character, Ash Kane, who's a bad mother, something. We're going to talk all about Ash, this new book, and what's next for Dr. Ian as we come to the close of 1 year, but as we take a gander at 2026 on the horizon. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Dr. Ian Smith when we come forward.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The man accused of killing one National Guard member and wounding another in a D.C. shooting has now been formally charged with murder.
The crime is one that we believe we will be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
The shooter appeared virtually from his hospital bed where he's recovering from gunshot wounds. He has pleaded not guilty. Chicago faith leaders are pushing back against steep Cook County property tax hikes, saying they unfairly hit Black homeowners on the south and west sides. Pastor Marshall Hatch called the system unjust, while Reverend Sean Thompson is demanding a freeze and answers. And University of Virginia and Virginia Military Institute leaders are defending their recent decisions before state senators. UVA's interim president said their Department of Justice deal avoids legal trouble, while VMI's superintendent said he's focused on daily operations after the removal of the school's first Black leader, Cedric Wins. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Crash in Rosemead on the westbound 10. Looks like a car hit a group of cyclists at the San Gabriel off-ramp. The drive through there actually wide open, lots of green, but at least one lane is blocked on the off-ramp, so use some extra care if your drive takes you that way. In Universal City, some good news. An earlier crash on the northbound 101 at Barham. That has been cleared over to the center divider. You're still tight coming out of Hollywood. Does turn green for you after Barham.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
HBCU Southern University is taking a gamble on Marshall Faulk, the school's new head football coach. Faulk, introduced on Monday to the local media, has never been a head coach on any level. The Pro Football Hall of Fame running back completed his first season last week as running backs coach for Deion Sanders at Colorado. Faulk grew up in New Orleans, which is only 80 miles south of the Southern campus in Baton Rouge. The Southern administration is hoping Faulk's name appeal will help turn around the program. Southern was 2-10 this season, 1-7 in the SWAC. HBCU Hampton University is looking for a new head football coach after firing Trent Boykin. Hampton was 0-8 in the MEAC this season. Top 5 women's college basketball teams in this week's top 25 rankings: UConn, Texas, South Carolina, 8-1 UCLA, and LSU. 5-2 USC is 16th. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yo, come on. Here come the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chucky. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Days after the Eaton fire devastated entire neighborhoods in Pasadena and Altadena, Black Freedom Fund, an organization that invests in leaders and organizations transforming Black communities, established the Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund. The Black LA Relief and Recovery Fund is supporting local organizations, providing direct resources to families, and making sure that recovery reflects the needs and voices of the people who live there. For many, the journey to rebuild is just beginning, and the Black Freedom Fund is committed to being with them every step of the way. Stand with Dina. Donate by texting Black LA to the number 707070. That's Black LA to 707070. Together, we can help our neighbors rebuild their homes, lives, and hope. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has work source centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. He's Dr. Ian Smith, #1 New York Times best-selling author of so many books. And we've been talking about the post-Thanksgiving diet and all-around holiday eating. While we've been on break, folks have been in my ear, Dr. Ian, asking, well, what about the itis? What about the itis? How do we manage the itis? How can we do better? Is there anything natural we can do? And is that potentially the next book that Dr. Ian is working on, combating the itis?
You know, it's funny. When I was on the Today Show, I was doing the third hour. There are 3 Black co-hosts on the third hour. I actually used the term itis. I got very familiar. I was like, oh my goodness, I just said itis on national TV. But anyway, listen, there is one thing you actually can do to combat itis, believe it or not. It's called movement. So the reason why people get itis after eating particularly large meals is because the way the body responds to a huge influx of calories is to move the blood where the most work is needed. So if you dump all this food into your stomach, which is then going to go down into your gastrointestinal tract, your GI tract, the blood rushes to your stomach and your GI tract because that needs to be active to process and digest the food you've just consumed. Okay. And so it takes blood away, it diverts blood away from the other parts of the body that are not in as urgent of need. Now, what does that do? So imagine this. Your blood, of course, supplies all your entire body. But if you are focusing on putting blood into your gut, then the blood, you're still getting blood to your brain, but you're getting less, because at the moment your body is saying the work of the gut is most important. So less blood to the brain means you become a little lightheaded, a little somnolent, like you know, a little tired, you know, because you're not getting that blood flow, that nice, thick, rush blood flow that you typically get. So how do you counteract that? Well, if the blood goes where the body is being active, then you have to do a different active to counteract it. So movement. So after you finish eating, I'm not saying exercise, but get up, take a walk, do the dishes, do movement, walk around, because now your body is saying, hey, listen, yes, we got food in the system, but my muscles also need to work. My arms need to work. And so less blood is going to go into your gut, and it's going to remain going into other parts of the body.
Ooh, you just saved us from the itis. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Dr. Ian, for that. Now let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about your latest book, which, as I've said before, the streets are buzzing about. It's called Beyond Midnight. And the main character, Ash Kane, he's a bad man. He's a bad man. Tell the people what inspired you to pen this book. You penned so many books. We're used to seeing you in the health and wellness space, but you've given us a novel.
Well, listen, I love story. And just because someone's a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or a teacher doesn't mean they can't love something that is not necessarily in what people think is their bailiwick. And so everyone, I think, loves a good story, whether it's a love story, whether it's a thriller, whether it's crime fiction or mystery. I tend to like thrillers and crime fiction mysteries. And so I just said, I'm going to write what I like to read. And so Beyond Midnight is the 5th installment of my Ash Kane series. I also wanted to create a series based on an African-American character that was something different than what I've ever seen on TV or in movies or in books. And so I really wanted this guy to be kind of a new age private investigator who's very smart. He's politically astute, but he's very authentic to his roots and where he comes from. So he's not uppity, but he has the pedigree to be if he wanted to be, but he's not. He's a very relatable guy. He's handsome. He's fearless. He's tough. And he's always fighting for what's right. He's always fighting for justice. And so to me, this is the PI 2.0. You know, I grew up with Magnum PI and, you know, older kind of private investigators. I wanted this guy to be, you know, a newer version, African-American guy who does this. I always say he's the kind of guy who women love and guys want to hang out with because Ash Kane is always himself. And so this particular book, Beyond Midnight, actually is very timely because it's about the mysterious proclaimed accidental drowning of an undocumented worker in Lake Michigan in Chicago. And the guy's nephew does not believe the police account that it was an accidental drowning. And so the nephew goes and hires Ash Kane, our guy, to figure out what happened to his uncle.
I mean, you know, that's pretty timely storyline. Given
Chicago.
Yeah, especially in Chicago, and given that we're seeing too many stories of folks who are being disappeared, of people who are undocumented, people who are allegedly undocumented. We're even seeing stories of American citizens who are getting swept up into this. You know, we've heard from some federal officials. They call it an administrative error. But talk to us about how you came up with the idea for this storyline long before this moment that we find ourselves living in here in the U.S.
Well, I've always been intrigued, for example, when I go to Home Depot and you find a lot of undocumented workers who are just looking to get hired for a job. They're trying to make money. These are good people who are here, who don't have a lot of resources, and they want to work to try to be able to live here. And I was always intrigued by the idea of who are these people? Why are they here? Where do they come from? What is their life really like? But also, I was always intrigued and observing how people related to them. People treat them like they don't exist, like they're not human. They're less than nothing. And sure, I understand if you don't need, some help in doing a project, so you don't want to hire them. But the way people treat them, as if they're a disease, it's really it's very unsettling. And so I always said to myself, what if one of these undocumented workers found himself in a tricky situation? Who would be there to defend him? Who would investigate what happened to them? Most people wouldn't, given the climate that we're in right now. But what if our guy, Ash Kane, says, listen, treat those, who are the most the same as you treat those who of the least of us. And so, he says, this guy's life matters. And I'm going to put the full weight of my investigative force into figuring out what happened to this guy. His family deserves answers and he deserves justice. And that's how I got the idea for the story.
Why was it important for you to have the main character, Ash Kane, be Black and this undocumented individual to be, I assume, Latino?
Mm-hmm. Well, I want Ash Kane to be African-American because I think it's very important for the literary canon and that we have more African-American figures who reflect the diaspora of who we are as a people. We're not all athletes. We're not all entertainers. We're not all drug dealers. Yes, we are all these things, but we're also intellectual. We're also police officers and firefighters. We also understand the Renaissance, and we love Van Gogh just like we like Langston Hughes. So I wanted a character who is just different, who represents kind of who we are allowed to be, and not who they say we should be or who they say we are. But this is a guy who can quote Kendrick Lamar and he can quote Shakespeare. This is a guy who can go into the wealthy north side of Chicago to play golf at a country club and feel equally comfortable there as he does on the south side visiting Ice Culpepper, who's the head of the biggest gang in Chicago. So I wanted an African-American guy who moves very easily throughout the city and who is aspirational and inspirational.
Wow. Well, you did it. You hit the nail on the head. This is incredible book. Dr. Ian, in our remaining minutes, I've got to ask you, what's on the horizon? What can't Dr. Ian do? What are you looking to do in 2026? Look at him already.
This is it.
Is that hot off the press?
Yeah, it is. It is. So this is going to be my new book. It's called The Last 15. Say goodbye to those most stubborn pounds. And the idea is that millions and millions of people complain about not being able to lose those last 15 pounds, or they say they've hit a plateau and they can't get through the plateau. And I finally decided to attack it from a scientific standpoint, because there's a real science why it's difficult to lose those last few pounds. I want to teach people why it's difficult to lose those last 15 or so pounds, but then to give them a 7-week program where they can actually accomplish it and keep it off for good. And so The Last 15 will come out in December. It'll be on Amazon.
December as in this month?
Yeah, coming out.
Oh, wow. So for all of our leaders, learners, and listeners out there, you got a double blessing right here. You got a double blessing. You got the novel Beyond Midnight with the main character, Ash Kane, who doesn't disappoint. And then you have a great health and wellness book, The Last 15. I feel like I've been trying to get at my last 15 for the past 15 years. And so I'll take all the help I can get. Dr. Ian, thank you for always just giving us food for thought, giving us a path forward. In these topsy-turvy times, we can't take that for granted, and we don't take you for granted. And so thank you for that.
I appreciate you. I love you. Happy holidays to you in Monterey. And I really hope to see you soon in person.
Absolutely. He says hello, by the way.
Okay.
You're listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580, The Quiet Part Out Loud when we come forward. Thank you, Dr. Ian.
See ya.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
The holidays can be a time of increased stress for those struggling with opioid or stimulant addiction. They can also be a time for pause, reflection, opportunity, and new beginnings. This holiday season, choose treatment and recovery. Embrace the company of family and friends and create special moments. Find a proven opioid or stimulant addiction treatment provider near you at choosechangeca.org.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and it's time for the quiet part out loud. Now, this time last year, we were looking around. Some people were licking their wounds following what felt like a very intense, some might even say a bitter election for president. And if you were playing the drinking game, and if the buzzword was affordability, I'm not sure if you would have made it out your house. We talked again and again and again and again about affordability. A lot of people were concerned about inflation. A lot of people were concerned about the cost of housing and healthcare. And guess what? People are still concerned. Affordability is one of the issues that has certainly animated voters in special elections and off-year elections this calendar year, and will likely happen again in 2026. But it's worth noting that ProPublica is reporting that the Department of Justice and RealPage, they've agreed to settle a rental pricing fix case. That's right. If you're not clear on what's happened, let me bring you up to speed real quick. The Department of Justice and Texas software maker RealPage, they announced just this past Monday that they've reached a settlement in a case involving price fixing allegations in some of the nation's largest rental markets. We've been saying, the price of rent is too damn high. Well, in this case, it's too damn high in part because you have RealPage, this Texas software maker that has allegedly been fixing the price of rent. At issue was algorithmic rent setting software that the tech company sold that prosecutors said enabled landlords to compete less and boost prices in apartment buildings in ways that could violate antitrust laws. The proposed settlement, which must now be approved by a judge, said that RealPage will stop offering software that uses non-public, competitively sensitive data shared among landlords to recommend how much to charge tenants. Now, under the agreement, RealPage will stop conducting market surveys to gather such information and agreed not to discuss pricing strategies or trends based on non-public data at meetings it holds for property managers. The company also must remove or redesign software features that restrict rent decreases or align pricing among competitors. Now, you should also know that a court-appointed monitor will ensure compliance with the settlement. So we're not just sort of taking their word for it. There will be somebody appointed by the court to monitor and ensure their compliance with the settlement if it's accepted. The company also agreed to cooperate with prosecutors in their lawsuit against property managers that have used its software. And so that's what we've heard from the Department of Justice. It's also worth noting that the Justice Department said in a statement that the proposed settlement would help restore free market competition in rental markets for millions of American renters. Now, I don't know about you, but when I heard that, I started to wonder, well, this is just one company. One company. How many other companies are there out there that may be engaging in similar behavior? And at a minimum, how many other companies are there out there that have engaged in practices and are engaging in practices that elicit at least similar allegations? RealPage said in a statement on their website that the settlement, quote, provides greater certainty for housing providers and technology innovators that revenue management software can be operated confidently and in compliance with the views of federal antitrust enforcers. What's also worth noting here is part of the reason why this settlement has come about is not because of any violations to civil rights law, specifically fair housing. They caught a case on the antitrust front. And so my question is, what about fair housing rights? What about privacy rights? Are they using information that is indeed publicly available? Or are they using information that's scraped off of private websites? Is the government, making our personal identifiable information available to companies like this? And so it's worth noting that the proposed settlement, it is the latest development following ProPublica's 2022 investigation. Dozens of tenants sued RealPage after the initial story, and the Biden Justice Department filed an antitrust complaint against the company back in 2024. And in January, it sued 6 of the nation's biggest landlords, including Greystar, accusing them of improperly working together to raise rents. Prosecutors said that one landlord told RealPage that it started increasing rents within a week of adopting the software, and within 11 months had raised them more than 25%. This issue here is, in my view, the canary in the coal mine. If this is what's been happening with one software company, then what about the others? The litigation, which continued under the Trump administration, was joined by at least 10 attorneys general, including the one right here in California, the country's most populous state, home to roughly 17 million renters. Why are we devoting time on air to this story? Because we know that in cities like Los Angeles, where our home station is located, over half of the residents here in the city of LA are renters. Even more than that, across California, there are 17 million renters in this state. And I don't know about you, but I'm wondering how many of them are getting a fair shake when it comes to the cost of rent. So while we're out here pressing our elected officials and folks vying to be our elected officials on what they intend to do to make life more affordable for us, to make our basic needs more affordable, healthcare and housing, it's also worth asking, what are folks in positions of power and influence and authority doing to make sure that more renters aren't taken advantage of by softwares like this and companies like this? What are they doing to ensure that we don't need settlements quite like this in the future? That's where the work is. And we're going to keep our eye on that, and we're going to keep elevating the voices of the people that are doing this work. It's important work, hard work, but important work. When we come forward in our next hour, we're going to be talking about a whole lot of headlines afoot on the international front and why they matter to you. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. New York has got a major sports upgrade with an $11 million turf field at Charles Young Playground.
We know the power of sport and recreation. It is extremely significant. It brings us together.
Black Mayor Eric Adams and former Yankee CeCe Sabathia celebrated the new Harlem Field of Dreams